welcome back to Live with RXMuscle's Iron Road to the Olympia, brought to you by Scitec Nutrition. Visit scitecnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today in our studio, we have two special guests, IFBB pros, Ariel Khadr and Santi Aragon. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for having us, Dave.
Now, Ariel, you are Olympia bound for the first time in your young career, and that's got to be super exciting. You won the Toronto Pro Show a couple weeks back, or a couple months back, I should say, and you go into the Fitness Olympia.
Yeah, you know, the Toronto Pro was my first show this year. I think it was the first fitness show this year, other than the Arnold's, and yeah, it was a big win for me. It was close to my heart because my family came, and my second show back after 6 years, it was really amazing.
Let's take a step back, because probably people remember, if they do remember, you know, because people have a very short memory span in this sport, but people probably remember me interviewing you back when you were 15, 16, competing in the fitness events. You were an elite level gymnast, I believe, and you know, you moved over to the fitness division. You gave it a shot, and before you, I think just as you turned 17, you turned pro. I think at the time you were the youngest IFBB pro.
Yes, I was. I was an elite gymnast, but I did have to go back to level 10 from ankle injuries, which I'm still dealing with to this day. That's one of the biggest things, at least for me in fitness, is trying to maintain health while also being good at what I'm doing, because you can't, you know, forego skills just because you'd rather not be injured, but you also want to do good skills. So it's a give and take. And that's probably the hardest part about fitness, at least for me.
Now, when we originally interviewed you back in the day and you turned pro, I thought, well, you know, here we go. We're going to see a new generation come up. But you kind of disappeared. I know you went off to college, and we didn't hear from you. What happened after
Well, when I got my pro card, I just turned 17. I was still a senior in high school.
She still had homework to do.
And I didn't even apply to college because it was September. It just started like a week before. It was my first week of high school, my senior year, and I needed to still go on my recruiting trips. I was going to do college gymnastics. I originally got recruited for college gymnastics. I went to Rutgers, and because of ankle injuries, I couldn't do gymnastics.
You stopped.
I did stop. And after that, you know, there was a couple of things that went on. Like, my grandma passed away right after I got my pro card, which was kind of a big deal for me. And you know, I just needed to kind of live my life because I was an elite gymnast, like I said. I was homeschooled in 9th grade. Yeah, I lived the lifestyle of...
How many hours a day in the gym when you're
at least 5 hours.
Right.
When I was homeschooled, it was 6 hours, and it was split up. But even in the summer, it was like 8 hours. I think it was 5 hours during the morning and then 3 hours later.
So at the time, did you like it? Did you enjoy doing it at that level?
What? At that age, I don't know if you necessarily... you do enjoy it, but you also love the fact that you're like with your friends, and you really are close with the teammates because you understand the work ethic and I guess the sometimes abuse that comes with the coaching. So it's a kind of a bonding experience, and at least for me, it definitely was a release of stress in some way going to gymnastics. But when you get older and you're dealing with injuries and just growing up and wanting to kind of like live a life a little bit, it's a little bit
Did you go
tough.
through like a rebel stage after that at all?
Oh, yeah, in college. Yeah. My freshman year was, at least for me, that was my year to go at least do my thing. And I did, which I'm happy I did it because at least I got it out of the way. And, yeah, I did what I had to do. But I ended up getting my college degree. I didn't do gymnastics in college. And I needed that time for myself. I grew, I think, significantly since I went to college. And... I never lost that sense of wanting to be competitive, but I knew that it wasn't the right time for me. You know, I was just so competitive my whole life doing gymnastics, and then right from gymnastics I got an injury. I decided I wanted to do...
We're watching you. Johnny
I wanted to do... I got hurt in gymnastics, and I decided I wanted to do figure because...
I mean, you were really good. I mean, we're watching this. This is not like a joke, like, you know, type of gymnastics. You were at the, you know, under the Olympics, obviously, but right there, right?
I wouldn't say I was like right there, but I was at the elite level of gymnastics.
What does it take to go from elite to Olympian level gymnastics? Explain to the audience, because we don't understand that.
Well, it's when I started training for elite gymnastics, I was about 13 or 14, which is already when these girls are already on the junior Olympic gymnastics team. Because they start at, 8 and 9 years old. They're already going to the training camps where Marta Caroli and Bella Caroli are they have something called TOPS, which is like a strength and conditioning test. It's not even has to do with gymnastics, but if you get through all the strength and conditioning and it's timed and all this stuff, and you get top of that, you're in tops at tops, then you're going to be probably the best gymnast up and coming. Gotcha. So that's how they know if the girls are going to be really good. And when you're 13 and 14, they already look at you like you're, I don't know, like 50 years old on stage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you've been ruined already.
Kind of, yeah.
So they want to get you when you're young. So you were doing it pretty much for the college scholarship, and then you realized that, hey, I got injuries. I'm kind of burnt on this already. I did enough of it. I want to kind of just enjoy college. So you get through 4 years of college, right?
I actually was in college for 5 years, but I did.
5-year plan.
Yeah, 5-year plan.
And what was the degree in?
I got a degree in psychology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is perfect.
Which I wanted to go to graduate school, so I'm still kind of, not really sure exactly what I want to do from here. But right now I'm focusing on this fitness thing.
What brought you back to the fitness? Like, what made you say, you know what, I'm going to do another, I want to do the show?
I never stopped thinking about it. Fitness was something I grew up, my parents wanted to always compete, and they never did. I used to go to bodybuilding. They used to take me to bodybuilding.
Yeah, your mom was pretty jacked. I remember when we
and my dad, too.
Still see her now.
Yeah.
And they used to take me to shows when I was like 5 years old.
Right.
I think some of them were like Gary Udit shows in Pittsburgh.
I'm sure.
20 years ago.
And they were competing?
No, they never competed.
Oh, they just
but they
watched?
wanted to go to watch and see if, this is what it's about and if I want to compete and all this stuff. And I used to see the fitness because back then it was only bodybuilding and fitness.
Sure.
So there was like 30 girls in the show doing fitness, and I was just in awe. I was like, that's what I want to do, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And when I finally, when I was...
and your mother was into it. I know she was.
Yeah, she was totally.
She'd take you all over the place.
Yeah. And I had a coach in gymnastics that actually did fitness. She didn't do the MPC. And she had a junior fitness organization that worked with... it was an international organization. They had a lot of girls from Europe that do fitness, the younger girls, they're junior girls. They're extremely good. And I did a junior show. I did an international show. And I went up against these girls, and I actually won against them. And I didn't think I would. I was just so, couldn't believe how good. I was 11. Oh. Yeah. That routine is actually online, too.
Oh, is it? I'm sure Johnny will find it somewhere.
And I knew I loved fitness from there, but there was really no fitness for me to do at 11 years old. I'm not going to get on stage in a bikini at 11 years old. And so I just focused on gymnastics, and I did Taekwondo as well back then. And
I can see you've incorporated some of that into your routine. We're watching here the routine from the Toronto Super Show.
So this routine, I actually did a routine. I did the same theme in Phoenix, the first show I did, the Phoenix Europa.
That was in 2015, at the end of last year.
But I completely changed the routine. I got new music made. I re-choreographed the entire routine.
You do all this yourself, right?
Yes, I do everything myself.
Unbelievable. How do you get do you have a second set of eyes who look at you and say, hey,
I don't trust that. No, that's a lie. I do trust people. But I know what I have a vision for fitness. I feel like I've seen fitness and seen so many routines for so many years that what I think my strength is putting together like my strengths and pulling it together in a creativity within the routine.
Right. Do you think with the second set of eyes, though, you might even be able to take it to the next level?
I do listen to other people. It's not that I'm not open to it, but I do take it with a grain of salt because some people's opinion just don't match what I think, and I want to do what I want to display up there.
I mean, because you have a level of expertise up there that probably rivals Oksana Grishina. I mean, not many people have that gymnastics background. I think in the fitness division anymore. I don't see it. It seems like all those girls are kind of gone.
I would say that most of the girls do have their skills, but maybe Oksana portrays it in a more creative outlook. And
well, you've always done that. You've always had creative routines too, the choreography-wise.
Right. I think Oksana is definitely one of those athletes that takes her strengths and puts them on stage, just as I guess what all of us are trying to do, but some of us just do it maybe better than others.
Yeah. Well, Oksana, people don't realize she's not a formally trained gymnast in the sense of she's more of a rhythmic gymnast, right? So there's a lot of difference.
Technically, fitness shouldn't be based on tumbling. So that's really what gymnastics is about. And there's a lot of strength moves and flexibility that whether you did gymnastics or dance or whatever it is, you could still do those moves. I would say that what they should be focused on is more of what is entertaining and what's what story and what kind of performance are you putting out there on stage? Because sometimes you could put in the hardest skills ever, but I mean, you're still not very entertaining to watch.
Right,
I'm not saying anybody, but that's just some of the things I see. No one specific, but that's definitely a factor that I see going on at least in my eyes in fitness.
Right. When did you talk to any of the judges after your win in Toronto?
Actually, I spoke to another IFBB fitness pro that's been around for a long time.
Right.
She was one of the only pros that had anything to really say.
And what'd she say?
She said I could make my routine a little faster.
And have you worked on that for the
I
rest?
have worked on it a little bit, yeah. Trying to... I felt like my routine was kind of a surprise factor in Toronto because whether you've seen the old routine or not, it was still a completely different routine. And I'm still trying to not have people focus on like that routine and say that's the exact routine she's coming out with again, because you want to have that wow factor every single time you're on stage.
Now, Santi, you obviously, we've interviewed you before. You had your classic men's physique, I should say, debut in the pro ranks this year, which was great for you because this division was like custom made for you. Obviously, you turned pro in bodybuilding. I know you really like the bodybuilding, but I think you fit in really well in this division. Did you enjoy doing classic, or do you think you might go back to bodybuilding?
I did, and I didn't at the same time. I like it because you do get a little bit more attention if you're creative on stage, because it is classic physique or whatever. There's some things that I don't agree with the posing, a lot of little details that I still think need to get worked out on it. But I just didn't like the fact that I had to lose so much damn weight. I mean,
How much weight did you lose?
2 weeks out, I was still 12 pounds over, and I was already shredded.
What did you weigh?
I had to weigh in at 170, which is only 5-pound difference from what I was at nationals.
Right, and you put on a lot of muscle.
I put on a lot of size. What happened? What killed me is that they didn't have the classic physique division, and I was already bulking for 212, and I was already prepping for 212, and then they came out with the announcement. I'm like, holy shit! I just put on 20 pounds of muscle, and now if I want to really do this,
starve it off.
I have to starve it off, and it was really to the point that I was eating like 4 ounces of protein per meal, and it was really
Did you like the look that you brought to the stage? I mean, you were 4th place in Toronto.
Hell no, I didn't like it at all. No.
So would you go back to bodybuilding at this point?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so you'll go back to 212.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I don't think that I really do believe that the guys that are taller in that division have an advantage. Just when they actually properly put their bodies together, they have the advantage in that class. The short guys, there's no possible way. I mean, unless you're Terrence Ruffin, that is just a freak of nature, that he's my height, 5'5", and he comes in and he still could put 8 pounds. He's still 8 pounds under.
So hollow bones. That's
hollow. Exactly. They have hollow bones. It's crazy. But I wouldn't. I don't think that I was. I think that my presentation and what I portray on stage is what the division should be. Yeah. But I think the way that I look and the way that my body's put together, I just don't have that advantage. With classic physique that I would. Just placing decent at a 212 show. At least I can be myself. And I don't have to worry about, over depleting and anything like that to make weight.
Right. And you do have, by the way, I have to note for the record, the best hairdo in all bodybuilding. Best set of
after nationals, I was listening to Heavy Muscle Radio, and Chris Cito actually gave me the coin. It was I was Mr. Congeniality of the show, Mr. Congeniality. So I still take that to this day.
You were also probably the most conditioned guy in the entire show. That was in the 2014 nationals.
2014, yeah.
And where you won the welterweight class, and I remember I think we did a little pre-interview with you outside, like 2 days before, and I was like, "There's no way you're going to lose this show," and you really dominated.
Yeah, it was a good showing. I mean, the tough part is that you come in so conditioned, and you have to deplete yourself down so conditioned. Now you're in 212 where you don't want to come in so depleted, but then now you're playing that. Okay, I have to match that same conditioning that I came in.
Well, look, Jose Raymond was a lightweight, and he's a top 212 guy, so you can certainly get up there. Of course,
it's going to take time. I mean, it's some guys, like let's say Justin Compton, somebody like that. They come out and they explode and they're ready. At such a young Dallas McCarver, but some guys they have to take time.
Compton was a natural bodybuilder. A lot of people don't remember. He didn't come out of the woodwork. He'd been around a long time and competed competing. So he just started really young, kind of like she did. So
and it just year by year, you just got to go. I mean, Jose, didn't start winning pro shows until he was well into his 30s.
Yeah. It took him a while.
So
he turned pro. He won every division in every universe and national. So
exactly.
He took his time with it.
So it takes time, and some guys nowadays they want it now, and I'm guilty for that too.
Yeah.
I want instant
How old
success.
Are you now?
I'm 27.
Okay, so you're one of the young guys still coming up.
I'm still, you want results now. You're very competitive. You put so much into it. You want things now, and then you got to step back and be like, well, I got to take my time.
We'll see you on the Olympia stage before you're 30. I'm sure of it.
I hope so. I gotta. She's ruling the household right now.
Yeah, I know. Your manhood has been tempered a little bit.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You're the bag carrier right now,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Now, Santi's in town actually for the Secrets of Becoming a Diet Guru course, which is this Saturday here at the RXMuscle studio. So he's going to have fun with that course. I wanted to ask you a question about Ariel.
Okay.
Now, do you watch her practice her routine at all?
Not really.
No,
not really.
You have no input.
But when she does come up with some new stuff, she'll ask me about it. We came up with that with the Mortal Kombat idea. I mean, I was a kid playing video games my entire life, so it was perfect because she had gymnastics and she has taekwondo. I'm like, man, what would be killer is a Mortal Kombat routine.
Right.
So then we started watching, the different characters and how could we integrate this into a routine.
Sure.
And I had a very good friend of mine that is a DJ, so he came up, with the concept of the music.
The music from the first show, I actually put it together, and it was not good.
It was really bad. It was like on the computer edit. It was
my first show back in 6 years. I seriously felt like I was an amateur on a pro stage.
Well, you weren't. You had no experience.
I don't mean it like that, but I felt so like I've never been that nervous.
Right.
Because it's almost like, even in a regular show, if I haven't competed.
Isn't it weird how no one knew who you were? Because well,
actually, one person came up to me and said, "Aren't you that 17-year-old girl that got her?" And you look exactly the same now.
Like when I didn't know you were competing, and I saw the results. And I'm like, wait a second, I didn't know Ariel was back. So I know everyone because I've never left the sport. I kind of know the history of it, but the new people today, they don't know anything. They don't even know who the bodybuilders were from the 2000s.
I know.
Much less 1990s.
Well, it's amazing the changes that have happened to the industry since I've been away.
Do you think fitness is easier now or harder?
It's definitely easier in the sense that the routine rounds and stuff are not as hard.
And they're 75% of your score now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, two-thirds.
Which I think makes it, at least to some people, an advantage because before some people would come in and look great and then their routine isn't that great and other people's was the opposite and then they come out tied in the end and it's not really fair because it is fitness. Especially now when there's women's physique, there's bikini, you could do all these other divisions, the figure even. I mean, if that's your forte, do that,
I was surprised that the Arnold people didn't invite you to the Arnold Asia. Are you invited? Did they invite you to the Arnold Europe at all?
No, I wasn't invited.
Which is weird. I don't understand it. I mean, don't these people watch routines? First of all, at the Arnold's, one of the things that they love is fitness. I will say one thing: Arnold supports the fitness division. I think almost every show has a fitness category.
Yeah, they do.
Because it's one of the most entertaining things to watch. It's smart. I mean, it's intelligent to do that.
Yeah.
How no one saw your routine and said to themselves, we got to get this girl at the Arnold, I don't know. Because you would have been a shoo-in for the Arnold Asia. And certainly, I'm sure after the Olympia, you'll get someone coming up to you and whispering in your ear, hey, you want to come to Europe? Because I can't imagine them not getting you out there.
I think Europe is like a week after, right?
Yeah. So they'd have to put you on book your flight, which is good because maybe they'll pay for your whole trip. So,
maybe.
But you certainly have one of the most entertaining routines, I guess, out there. And I've seen them all. So there's not many people that impress me. Obviously, Oksana Grishina impresses me. Although, I will say, I really wasn't that impressed with her Michael Jackson routine she did at the Arnold. What did you think of that?
It wasn't my favorite routine that Oksana's done. But I don't think any of Oksana's routines you can say are not good. Especially when...
They're all unique, but I don't know. I wasn't wowed by anything. To me, it wasn't of the caliber I'm used to seeing from her. I wasn't brought to tears like
I think that the hype was more than... Because, I mean, we sat there and we watched it. And it was, exciting to know that she was going to do a Michael Jackson routine. Right. But then once it was there, you're like, oh, that's it?
Well, if I did, I would just, the way that I looked at a routine is what I would have done if I did a Michael Jackson routine, and I guess I would have done it nothing the way that she did it.
Well, she didn't use any of the popular music.
That's what I mean. I
don't understand it.
At least I was going to say the very first thing I would have done is at least added Thriller in there. At least added, maybe, his top music, Bad and all. Right. But as far as portraying that she's Michael Jackson and that's her theme, of course, that's,
Do you think is there a possibility that maybe she's injured, or that?
I honestly don't think so, because based on her stuff, I think she's probably I honestly think she's in her like prime.
Physique-wise, but maybe not, gymnastic-wise, because there's been a lot of fitness competitors that have switched to figure, and a lot of people didn't know why, and it's because injuries,
Oh, for sure.
Jenny Lynn, who won the figure Olympia, was a fitness competitor originally. People don't realize that.
Well, I could see back then, because that was just when they made figure.
Right.
But, for me, I love fitness. I know that I wouldn't be competing if I wasn't doing anything other than fitness. I mean, I might do, like, women's physique, but probably not. I'm really, like, fitness is my thing.
Sure.
I basically grew up doing it. I know it like the back of my hand, at least how I feel with fitness, and I don't see myself stopping really very soon.
Well, you don't have to. You're only, 22 years old now?
Yeah, I'm turning 3. I'll be 24 soon, but...
Oh. She's almost over the...
She's almost over, right?
The guy Charlie works in my warehouse. He just turned 24. And I said, one more year, it's all downhill after 25. I read an article once that at 25, at 25, your body stops regenerating and everything starts to
You're going to scare me now.
to break down. Now, you don't realize the breakdown occurs until you hit your 30s.
Yeah.
It takes 10 years before you realize that nothing's healing anymore. But that's
I already
what
have the
happens.
injuries, so I don't need any more.
But when you can go to sleep and get a good night's sleep, and all of a sudden everything feels better. When you hit in your 30s, things don't feel so better. When you hit your 40s, it never goes away, the pain.
Yeah.
So what would be your next show, Santi?
Honestly, I have no idea. I have a great sponsor. I'm sponsored by MuscleTech. So the great thing is, as I'm assuming that before, when MuscleTech caught all these athletes and stuff, is that they were supposed to do shows, to show off the brand and promote the brand. They don't have me. They don't really have. They have me just being a good ambassador. That's it, of fitness and stuff. So I'm not forced to do shows under contract or anything like that, which is great.
Yeah, but you like to compete, though.
I like to compete. I mean, that's the only reason. That's why I do this stuff, But I think that with time, next year, maybe deep into the year, then I'll probably do something. But I don't feel right now. I don't feel pressured at all to have to be up on stage.
Well, you guys are living in Miami. You get that Miami Pro Show that is now happening every year.
That's the show you started at. You
were 10th at that show. Would you think about coming back to that one?
Definitely, that would be the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. You have that like special thing that you're like. Damn, I need to go
in your backyard. I mean, come on. Now, what's the name of your store you have there?
It's called You Break, I Fix.
That's right. We talked about this on the radio. I think. Well, what did we do? Radio.
Yeah, you went to Apple and you were there for like 5 hours.
Yeah. And Santi called me up because we could fix your phone easy. You should have called me up. And did you say you're opening a second store? I'm trying to.
Yeah. I mean, where we live, Doral, it's very commercial, so there's not a lot of retail shops.
Right.
Retail spaces. So that's pretty much what we're waiting for right now is just a retail spot to open, so we can throw another one in there.
Look, I always say it's good to be a businessman. You gotta pay the bills.
Something completely different from bodybuilding, which is great because I could eat all my meals.
Sure.
There, no problem, no stress.
You're the boss.
Yeah, I just sit there and repair phones and eat my food.
That's right. You don't want to repair phones?
No.
We got to find you a job, though, right?
Well, not really, because I have a couple options. It's just.
You do.
It's a matter of figuring out what I want to do.
You should be a sports psychologist. Bodybuilders are in desperate need of it. Believe me, I can send you about 10 clients I got already. They can use a psychologist.
Yeah, we know plenty in this industry.
Yeah. So what would make you happy? Obviously, everyone wants to win, but what would make you happy leaving the Olympia this year? Top 5?
Realistically, I would like to place in the top 5 or top 6, at least to be up there, with the awards. It is my first Olympia, but. I'm pretty hard on myself. I try not to be. I'm going in there with the expectations of just do your best because as long as I do my best, there's really nothing else I could control.
What do you think you need to do to your physique? Because obviously physique is a component of the score.
Well,
it's not all routine. What was your take on how you looked in Toronto?
Well, comparing Toronto and the Europa show, for example, based on the critiques I had in the Europa show, I had great conditioning, but needed to work on tapering my waist. Well, coming into the Europa show, I barely even trained with weights.
I was just about to say.
Really?
I said, you need to talk about that. She barely worked out.
I really don't have to train very hard with weights to really make any gains, and that's kind of the issue I'm kind of dealing with right now because I don't really want to rush into making the gains because then I might feel like, okay, well, maybe I need to do women's physique,
Right.
I don't want to get to the point where it's ever a question of is she too big? Or I'd rather always be extremely conditioned, at least to the best that I could be.
So what do you do in the gym when you go there?
Well, I do weight train, but I don't lift heavy. I try to get a lot of reps very quick, almost like a cardio weight workout.
Okay.
And then I practice my routine a lot. Routine practice is really not, for me at least, going through the whole routine every single time.
How long does it take, for you to practice your routine every day?
I don't practice every single day. No, but when I try to practice, it's at least 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay,
and
which is nothing compared to the old 8-hour things you were doing in gymnastics, man.
I mean, but then again, to go through 4 events versus like just doing floor at gymnastics would be at least half the amount of the time. Right. So I try not to overtrain either because of injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of stuff that I do is mostly the handstand holds and things that don't necessarily put too much pressure on my ankles, which is the issues that I have. But that's good for me because at least the gymnastics comes to me very second nature. And I don't need to practice that much.
But are you worried about, like, when you step on stage, conditioning-wise, and how you portray your physique in the physique round?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I don't think it's a problem. I think in Toronto I was definitely not lean enough, at least in my standards. But that's because if you saw me 3 weeks out, I wasn't even ready to get on any stage.
Oh, you just kind of jumped in?
I switched coaches. I working with Andrew Vu, that's my coach now, and I've seen huge dramatic changes with his diet and whatever he's doing.
It was
for
the
me.
Craziest 3-week transformation I've ever seen.
Really?
I mean, it was crazy. It went from a diet that had no fats, just protein, a lot of cardio, and all we needed to do was increase food.
Right.
Something a very simple thing.
Right.
Added fats. Kept I would say it was exactly just a ketogenic diet with a refeed every couple of days, and it was like daily. It was just like changes.
Well, that works well for women
changes.
usually. Yeah.
Definitely quick changes, and I mean, in my opinion, her look at Toronto versus Phoenix, I liked her Toronto look better because since she's so short, if you come in too conditioned, you look even smaller.
I don't really think that was the issue. I worked a lot on making my waist smaller. I changed my suit that was sitting wrong in the first show. I did
details. You got down to the details.
Yeah, I made my back, I think, a little bit wider just so I could try to make my waist a little smaller. The issue with being short is that I don't have a long torso. So to make my back thick and wide is also going to be an issue because it's going to make my waist thick and wide. So it's a lot of working on the rear delts and the high upper lat and trying to make myself wider on top versus wider everywhere.
Well, look, you're one of the most, I guess, promising young talents coming up in fitness. It took you 6 years to get here, but you're here, you've arrived. Never, right? Yeah, you're still only 23 years old. So I think that the Olympia people better be very scared because you're coming for them and they don't even know it because you haven't really hit any big shows yet. And I think that when we talk about dark horses in the lineups, I think you're certainly a dark horse in this Fitness Olympia lineup. So best of luck on stage. And Santi, I'm going to see you on Saturday for the Guru training course.
I will be
and guys, hopefully, we're going to get to see Ariel perform her routine and up on that Olympia stage and dazzle the crowd. And I'm predicting good things. I've been making a lot of predictions lately in the bodybuilding world. I'm going to make a fitness prediction. I'm going to predict top 5 for Ariel at her first Olympia, which would obviously be a huge accolade for 20. I think you're probably the youngest person in fitness I can't even remember the last.
I think I'm the youngest person in fitness to ever
right?
be on the Olympia stage,
Yeah, period. I don't think there's ever been anyone your age, even though you took the 6 years off.
Well, there's been younger people in other divisions, but I don't think fitness.
No, I don't think so either. So
I could be wrong about that. I don't know. Miriam Cakes might have been on there, my age.
I don't know. I don't think so. We'll have to check with Steve Wennerstrom. He's the women's historian. Maybe he can give us some statistics on that. For now, though, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live with RXMuscle's Iron Road to the Olympia, brought to you by Scitec Nutrition. Visit scitecnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and we'll see you next time.